Welcome back, it is Thursday and that means Acting Analysis for Animators, and today I'm going to take a look at the trailer for Joker. That's right, I was just about to post something about the movie and then the trailer came out and it's so good. I love the cinematography, just the acting moments, it's all so good. So I'm going to take a look at the whole trailer and pick out bits and pieces. And why I ramble about it, let's take a look at it right now. So I'm going to scrub through the trailer and pick out the moments that I like, but come on, it starts already on such a fantastic shot. I love the color correction, just the overall cinematography is so good, so good. But anyway, let's keep going. Let's pick out certain things that I think are really cool. That already can be used in the shot where you do something like this, where you have pantomime, he's literally pantomiming, and he's entertaining a kid. And you can use this setup, obviously you shouldn't copy it, but you can use this setup of this person doing something to another person, and then you can have, again, a non-lip sync reaction to this. And it could be really cute. What I like about this too is that you have then a third character coming in. I like the staging where you have these characters in here and she doesn't react very kindly to him entertaining the kid. And I love this when you have technically a lip sync moment and she talks here, but it's all about his reaction. And that's something that I mention frequently by now, that when you do have lip sync, you don't have to animate where you see the lip sync. You can just use the lip sync to then focus on the reaction of the character listening to it. And the same thing when you're done with the lip sync, you can still add something where the character keeps looking, keeps reacting, keeps engaging with the other character in the scene. It doesn't just have to start and end with the lip sync. It's very cool. Even here it continues. You can go on and on and on and make this even longer, but it could be an interesting relationship between these two characters and how they react at the end after she said something, after he heard it. It's already a cool moment in the trailer. Moving on, you got very stark colors, teal and blue. But there's more character stuff that happens throughout the trailer where we can see how he reacts, see how he behaves. And this is something too where he has this very extreme laughter. And the contrast is that he goes straight back into a very serious face, where he's probably practicing, he's preparing for an appearance. I'm not quite sure yet, since it's the trailer, I don't know what happens. But that's something for you too, where you can potentially pick an audio piece that is very happy, but then you immediately go into a more serious face. Again, to kind of show, well, I'm not really honestly happy, I'm just pretending. And this could be for a stage appearance, this could be someone pretending for someone else to gain acceptance. I mean, there are many, many options for that type of behavior. This is cool too, and this is something that I talk about in a Dark Knight clip that I should post in the future. Blinks. How long do you hold the blink? It's interesting too how it almost feels like the pupils, the whole eyeball goes in. It's interesting. But you have that very slow blink, slow opening, and he does that throughout the sequence too here. It's just very interesting. Also the lack of blinks, like when do you choose to blink? So how long do you close it? How long do you open it? He's very relaxed. And throughout the whole trailer, it has a lot of action and chaos. He's very composed. He's very slow in his movements. And it feels very threatening as well, given the subject matter. This section I can technically scrub forward. It's a lot of, if you want to, body mechanics. You can technically showcase your run cycle, where you have different run cycles of chasing and someone is the prey. All kinds of things you can do, again, with physical body mechanics, but that gets pretty mean. And you also kind of pick and choose the content of your reel. But let's move forward to the next scene, and we're back to this here, where he has again that very slow opening of eyes and a stare and no blink. What I like about this here is this, and again, this is something that you could have in your shot where you have your lip sync, and this could be anything, right? Happy, bad, whatever it is that your lip sync is, but you end it on a reaction. And what I love about this is the very subtle exhale. Look at her shoulders and her chest. Oh, so deflating. You realize this guy is a helpless cause. This could be very dangerous. It's such an interesting, just very subtle moment of a reaction to what he just said. Moving forward to this, he's here, I would assume, with his mother. I think that's a thread in this movie, that his mother is potentially dying. I'm not quite sure. But what I like about this here is that De Niro here talks. There's an interesting crossover too with the Scorsese movie where the character of Robert De Niro is like that. But anyway, that's something for you to Google. But what I like about this is that he hears about himself. He hears that, oh, he's talking about me. And it's the physical change of, I need to get up and get in front of this because I'm interested in this. And this is something that you can do in terms of a sit-up exercise. A lot of times we actually do a sit-down exercise where you can take this and you can play it backwards, and maybe you might argue that someone is pacing around left and right, and now something is interesting and is of interest to that person, so they actually sit down to focus and not move. I mean, you can go both ways. But what I like about this is that the character uses the space. So you have a sitting to a get up, and it's interesting. To get up is that there's no blink and there's no big head movement. It's because he's completely focused on the TV. That's something for you to think about if you do a standing up or a sitting down. What is the overall idea? What is the action? What is the objective of the character? And here he wants to get closer. And I like the usage of space. And again, what I talk about in the previous clips, where it's almost a full body. You don't see the rest of the legs, but you can go from this to a much closer look at the character. So you can go from full body mechanics to a bit more close-up facial acting. And potentially, you know, cut over, maybe you animated this character too, and this could be something interesting too, but I like that moment in the trailer. And even his reaction here of, oh, he's speaking about me, I'm happy that I'm being mentioned. And then in this, you know, no one's laughing now, and then of course he has something that is not very positive, and you got just that reaction. Now, I wouldn't put this in a reel because there's really nothing happening, but in the context of a trailer, and probably in the movie, it's gonna play very well, because you have that big contrast of nothing moving and the simmering hate. This fall, anyway, let's continue on. Back to this here when I talked about slow blinks. Again, throughout this whole trailer, you see those very slow looks. I just love the way he looks and the colors and the color grading. Cinematography is just fantastic. I love all this. There's also a lot of usage of him in center frame, because usually you want to play in thirds. That's kind of the, I wouldn't say cliche, but it's kind of the standard thing of looking in thirds, and he's centered a lot. It's interesting. But again, it goes into this whole slow blink that can be very either tired or confident. It's very interesting. There are also a lot of walks in this trailer, and sometimes in slow motion too, but he has a very interesting, confident walk. And this is interesting too, where he sees this and does that. But what I like about this is that you can take this and, for instance, what if this is a mirror? And this could be a performer. This could be an actor, someone on stage in a theater, and goes through, facial stretches or testing out looks and expressions for maybe stand-up comedy or again theater or something else where in a way you can go through a lot of different facial expressions, and it's almost like a rig test. But it could be interesting for you to show off different things of, I'm going to look angry, I'm going to look neutral, I'm going to look happy, but it works in context because it's a performer testing his expressions in front of a mirror. Moving forward again in the trailer, there's this moment here that's interesting, just staging wise, not potentially acting wise, but when you have a lot of action, there's a lot of movement, people in front, and there's a lot of commotion in the scene, especially in this whole sequence. How do you make sure that the audience looks at your main character? Well, you center. And again, we talked about center before, but a lot of shots in this trailer, and just I wonder in the movie if he's going to be centered a lot. But that's something where just you immediately look into the center. I mean, it's white and a red nose. It's very striking here, but that helps you in terms of audience guidance. Just wanted to point that out here. And back to here, I love this little head accent there. It's almost a condescending thing of, okay, you know, do me a favor when you get me out on stage. I'm a big fan of just very subtle tilts. You don't have to do crazy gestures with your arms, even though he has this here, what he wants to really make a point about this. But I love just that, just a little tilt. It's not much, but it really helps to kind of emphasize certain moments and accents in your lip sync or just in your general pantomime. But I just love looking at this even without sound. Just that, just the way he comes in. I love that little, they both kind of, just their looks, just the costume design, and even how he looks. I don't know, I'm just a massive fan of, again, just the depth of field, the staging, just that costume, and just his little acting. Look at that, the small little look. It says, you know, he tells them to introduce him as Joker. I just love those little head moves and those little tilts. So good. I'm such a fan of this. Again, this might be way too subtle for animation. Sometimes you have to kind of amp things up and stylize and caricature things. But in this moment here, I just love all the stuff he does here. I'm so looking forward to this. Like, for instance, this is much bigger. He almost looks to the lens, but he's slightly confused as to why should I introduce you as the Joker, and that little I mean, that's something that's much more broad, and I think that's something that could work for your animation. Funny enough, this was animation. I would say, okay, you have this big head move. Now, when the head turns, it's going to affect the chest as well, because each body part cannot be isolated. But when I scrub through this, it's pretty isolated. Live action is always a bit different. Then we're getting into the final act of the trailer that usually ramps up with a lot of movements here. We're back to this interesting walk. Again, lots of slow motion here, but he just has such an interesting walk through all of this. And again, more action, more crazy stuff. Joker! But I like the end. I like this here. When you look at them, it's a slight feeling they could be real time. If you look at how quickly he moves and the pulling of the curtain and the spotlights here, this is probably slowed down a bit because he moves very slowly. But I would love for him to actually move this slowly on purpose and for this to be real time. Because you look at her gesture here and I look at just little moments in the foot, that footstep. I mean, if you look at this and just the general look of cloth and how things move, it's not slowed down as much. It's not as slow as he makes it out to be. But I love that. I love that weird, creepy move. October. Well, I'm looking forward to this. It's awesome. And I have to admit, I was in the camp of, do we really need another origin story? Do I need to know more about the Joker? But I love Joaquin Phoenix as an actor, and seeing this, so good, so good. But again, just like in the marriage story, in the trailer, there are a lot of bits and pieces in the trailer you can pick out, and that could be potentially useful for your shots. Speaking of which, if you think that this was useful and you want to work with me on your shots, I do have a workshop where you can incorporate all of this into your shots. Link in the description with all the info. And if you're still watching, as always, I thank you for your patience. And if you feel like it, you can like and subscribe, hit that bell button because I upload almost every day except on weekends. So if you want to see all the notifications, you can subscribe and follow my content. And if you're still here, thank you very much, and I will see you in my next clip.